Hello, this is Keisha. Practice How to Love and Narc Delulu. So I'm gonna kind of jump right into it. Welcome everyone who is joining. Sorry for the delay of the 12 minutes. I'm just getting used to this. So hopefully, the more that I do it, the more smoother it will go. Um, Today, very great topic, right? I talk a lot about Narc Delulu and Delulu land. Well, the stuff is about to get deeper. Okay, deeper, deeper, deeper. So if you like the content, please share it, please subscribe, please share with somebody else that really want to understand just the spiritual roots of all of this, because you go through so much in these breakups and you go through so much in these divorces in these households, and all people can really say is like, oh, that's toxic. And you go through the counseling and the therapy and they're like, do the CBT and change the way you think, or do the DBT, change the way you behave. And you're like, I'm trying, but I can't get this out my head. What is that? Like, it's so much deeper than something that we can just control or, just kind of do therapy with, because it's even deeper than a soul tie. Like, this is something that the enemy has set up and cultivated throughout generations. So by the time it got to us, like, our thoughts and our imaginations and everything has been formed by this culture, which is the action of a cult. So, kind of giving that kind of intro, I want to say that um, I want to really touch on the realm of the imaginations. Okay, that is where the devil's playground is at. Where they always make that saying, like, an idle man is the devil's playground. Have heard of that, right? Well, it's more than just a devil's playground. It's like a whole spiritual battle going on there, because it's actually part of your soul realm. Because sometimes people kind of get things mixed up a little bit. They're like, we just got the spirit, the soul, the flesh, and we do. But this mind is a lot more complicated spiritually than what people may know, because it's part of the mind is like our consciousness, our awareness. It has several different translations in the Bible. But there's other parts of our mind. We have our conscious, we got our subconscious. Okay, that's kind of where our emotions and our automatic thinking kind of happens, like those negative thoughts, negative emotions, desires, the fantasies. Like, some of that happens in the subconscious. And then we have our unconscious realm, where that is just kind of connected spiritually to some other realm. So that's usually sometimes they can get into like epigenetics with that, where our thoughts are influenced by a supernatural force. Okay, and that's a conversation for a video that we will have at a later time. But this imaginations, because going through this narcissistic cycle repeatedly, okay, not just one time, repeatedly, after a couple spouses, just going through that, it's something that is so devastating and so difficult to heal from. I was, kind of asking God, like, God, what is this? Like, trying to get answers. Even after deliverance, because I grew up in deliverance. So casting out demons, that was like a routine. So it automatically, after a breakup, it's like, get these demons out, cast out demon of lust. You come out in Jesus' name, come out, every soul tie be severed and broken. We go through that. But what happens when after that, after you're in deliverance for 3, 4, 5 years, you're still bound? You're still having uncontrollable thoughts. You're still feeling sadness, depression, anger, rage, like all of these different emotions. What is going on? And a lot of times people amplify witchcraft, which witchcraft is highly involved. Okay, the occult, all of that stuff is highly involved. Usually there's generational powers attached to that. But what opens the door for that witchcraft to really be able to grab a hold? Like, what opened the door for the narcissist to really be able to gain entry? Because they operate out of witchcraft. Like, the Satan sends them, and they operate out of a spirit of witchcraft, warlock. They're like high level ranking, being used and pimped by the devil. And we're going to get into that as well, how their mind gets split that way, and how that even involves the imagination. But we have to find that question, like, answer the one, why? Like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Like, how could it never happen again? So I must learn something, how to control these imaginations for this to never happen again. Well, I got an answer for that. So God was showing me about fantasy. He was like, when he was showing me about idolatry, because he was like letting me know, I pulled you out of this marriage. Like, it wasn't just that this narcissist left, or went with somebody in the church, or however, it was more deeper than that. Because I was like, well, God, how can you allow it? Like, we both were believers and everything, and we got married. Like, how did that happen? He was like, because he knew his heart. He know the intents of the heart and the imaginations of people. And when a narcissist meet you, when they come into your path, their thoughts are not like thoughts that typical people have. Their thoughts are wicked at all times. Like when the Bible tells us in Genesis, he was saying their thoughts, meaning their intents, their imaginations was the intents of the thoughts, and their thoughts were evil continuously. And that means something, because that meant that there was a separation of man to where they could not hear God, period. Like, it wasn't even in the Old Testament, his spirit would come upon the people, they would do the laws. But at that point, pre-flood, they couldn't hear him, period. So that's kind of how the narcissist is. And we know, like, pre-flood, they were mostly like hybrids. They have been infiltrated with a demonic DNA. Oh, I got some research. Please stay tuned. Like I said, you're gonna wanna like, subscribe to this. You're gonna want to save some clips, record some clips, because I got research articles for you guys, okay? Because I'm telling you, the stuff we dealing with, the narcissist, this nanotech, everything makes sense, and it's all connected. And it's all a strategic design to first take your imaginations, trap that, and then take your soul, and then take the bloodline. So Satan's very strategic. We have to know our enemy. It's so much deeper than casting out demons. So when God was talking to me and telling me, like, I got you out of this, you was in idolatry, I couldn't understand it, because I'm like, well, we was going to church and stuff. No, you was in idolatry. What you had was someone that demanded worship. They demanded you to cook for them, clean for them, answer the phone every 5-10 minutes whenever they call. Always consume your time, consume your thoughts. And then he was showing me areas like when someone has your attention. When the narcissists come, they're always talking. Then they call your name. They're like, hey, like they got to get your attention and startle you. And so when they get in your attention, that's causing your focus and everything to be on them. That's causing you to start meditating on them. And then that is giving worship. And even if you're married, it's okay, to do that when you're married in God. But when it goes beyond God, like, my ex would not allow me to pray. He would not allow me to worship. He would not allow me to read the Bible. Everything was time consuming. Any of the exes, it was always their needs, what they wanted. So when they do that, that means they are gaining that worship. So fantasy, he was showing me the link between fantasy and idolatry. So the first soul trap that the enemy does, he does trauma. When he can get you traumatized through childhood or through rejection, even if you were born in an unwedlock family or however dysfunctional, most of America, then he can split that part of your mind where the imaginations is kind of doing its own thing. It's running on its own. Now, the imaginations is connected to the spirit realm. So a lot of the influence come to your imaginations. That's where you get your creativity. That's why I have this slide here with this dragon, because that's imagination. So Disney and everything, when they be like, just imagine, that's all realm of imaginations. So your imaginations, when you look on this slide, it actually talk about fantasy. Like, the whole definition of fantasy itself has to do with magic right here. Sorry, it has to do with magic. It has to do with the supernatural. It has to do with all of like the magic creatures and all of that stuff. This is all fantasy, which we have a lot of it now because we have this entertainment. Just look at the fantasy part, all of it. That's what they're getting. They're grooming people for fantasy magic practitioners. And then we have here where it talks about the CPTSD, um, how complex trauma affects gifted people. So a lot of times when you are considered to be an empath, you are an empath because you have some sensitivity already, a gift that God gave you to the spirit realm. So when you have that sensitivity, it tell you how narcissistic trauma is really, really geared towards the people that's highly sensitive. So what Satan does, that's what make you like the scapegoat, or however in a family, he usually targets you first when he can tell you have that gifting. Because Lucifer been in the presence of God. Like he know who has light, he know who doesn't. He know who has that heart, he know who don't. So a lot of times you probably went through more trauma as a child, getting differential treatment or whatever, than some of the siblings, because that's how it is growing up in a narcissistic household. So if you were with a malignant narcissist, which is high level warlock or witch, high level witch or sorcerer, then chances of you having this type of background is severely high, because they had to groom you to be with a malignant narcissist. Because it's on a scale. Some people have some traits and some people full-blown narcissists. The ones that's full-blown narcissists can break your spirit. That's the ones that usually have people seeking out information, have health problems, and it can be very detrimental. And it talk about it on, on this list, like even being treated different. Like I was saying, even when you go to school, things happen differently in school. Like you're kind of targeted out because the enemies try to set you up so you can feel unworthy, unloved, rejected, and then ultimately rebel against God, because you're going to rebel against love. You'll build a hardness in your heart. You'll kind of want to be numb. And so trauma splitting, and I'm getting to how the imaginations is split, is when you're having that trauma, but now you create another person, like another person is created to go through life while the other person has to deal with the trauma. So if someone is being abused and they're young and a child, like they're going to split themselves in order to deal with the abuse. Like the brain is wired to try to protect itself. So they're going to kind of go into like the backdrop, and then their body will be still present, but the mind of the trauma and everything will kind of go into the realm of imaginations. That's when they start having like imaginary friends, or they start going to like daydreaming, or they start going to escapism. They do all of these fantasy things as a child because the other them is dealing with the trauma. Now that core personality that escapes and goes to fa la 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 land, Delulu land, that one sometimes get trapped there. So what the enemy does is he kind of comes in, and when his child is being like abused and everything, what the enemy does is he sends a stronghold, and he starts to form like a reality of a world in that imagination for that core personality. So his demons can't occupy that body. So the one that's sitting there that's going to be the numb one, or the one that's going to be the tough one or fight back, or the one that's going to be the crying one, those are going to interchange out of a vessel. And then the real core of them is going to go into la la land, into a reality that the enemy is building for them. That's like where you see them castles and the dragon. That means something. That's what the enemy does. He builds strongholds. That all comes for trauma. This is also called dissociation. These are things that we can study in the natural. Like we got scales and things. We can tell if somebody's splitting. They lose gaps of time. Like, okay, I can't remember these years of my life, or I don't remember this, but I remember the trauma. I can't remember too many good things. I remember the trauma. It's like when you're constantly bombarded with trauma, it's hard to have those memories of things that are good, because you kind of was checked out. You was in your own loop. You was in a loop of, I'm trying to figure this person out. I'm trying to figure out what I got to do. I'm trying to figure this out. You was trying to figure something out about this distorted person in your life, rather than the core you dealing with life day to day. It's kind of like that movie Click with Adam Sandler. I don't know if anybody watched it, but he was checked out and he was enjoying the things he was doing, but he came back. It'd be like 20 years later or so. That's kind of what happens. Hollywood kind of put things out there for us. That's like the lesser magic. They have to do that. But that's what happens with this dissociation and the trauma splitting. if you in a abusive relationship long enough, you're going to start to see pictures of yourself that you don't remember taking, because you're going to start checking out mentally, because your body is not designed to endure that much abuse and survive. So this is something that kind of happens on that subconscious, unconscious level, not in your state of consciousness. That's how the enemy splits you so that the demons can control you. Demons need a body. They're wandering spirits. They don't have a body. So it can cause, this is how the enemy sets up another stronghold, fear. So he got fantasy, he got fear. Fear causes you to, and rejection. These are strong towers that you got to dissemble. So the fear is fear of being rejected, fear of what people think. So you people please, fear of the criticism, fear of disappointment. So you become perfectionist. Like these are all the defense mechanisms that are built because they are built around fear. But we got to go to what the Bible say, where say it is written, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a peace, love, and a sound mind, or power, love, and a sound mind. So when we have fear, we don't have faith, because the Bible tells us perfect love casts out all fear. Perfect love is Christ. So we have to, fear and faith are opposites. They polar opposites. So what the enemy does, he thrives on fear, but it's a spirit, but it's something that has an altar that you have to tear down. So anything that's an altar, like rejection, like rebellion, unforgiveness, bitterness, fantasy, idolatry, those are altars, and these are hammers that you have to tear down by doing things different. And you have to ask on the strength of God, because it's so ingrained in your automatic way of thinking and living. It's hard to do the opposite. Like it's hard to not be mad at somebody that's constantly betraying you. But you have to separate from that person, not have false hope, false toxic hope, thinking they're gonna ever change, or we're gonna ever be right, or anything like that. You have to gain that reality, and then you have to come out of fantasy and start tearing that down. Then you can, forgive that person and release them. Then you don't have to go to them and tell them, hey, I forgive you. No, you need to release them. Talk to God, because they are still on a mission to destroy you. And they're not healed. So they are in a mission to destroy you and your generation. That's how the enemy programmed them. These are some of the things, the tactics that the enemy used. And I just used the stones from Marvel because, like I said, the devil be putting it out there. So the way that the world is working, they're already doing this stuff here. They have the black dark matter. They putting that in people. They have mind control, time manipulation. Like these are all things that CERN has been doing. So when they opened up these type of, realms to the spirit, or these portals, this combined with the narcissist means that everybody who has dealt with one is at risk to have their mind taken over. And that's the goal. That's why they're allowing these narcissists to continue to get away with this stuff. Marine Kingdom highly involved. So in order to defeat this and to start really breaking down all of these imaginations, you have to start going into warfare against your real enemy. The narcissist is not even the real enemy. They being pimped by the devil. They gone. But what happened, that they are being used because they gave up their bodies willingly to be used by the devil. So these marine kingdoms got inside, and the marine kingdoms are the one calling you names. They're the ones attacking you. They're the ones coming to you at night in your dreams. They're the ones that think they own you. They're the ones stealing your wealth. They're the ones like tormenting your mind, tormenting your children, stealing your health. This is what they do. It's the number one kingdom that's assigned against us. Signs that you might have been attacked or influenced by this marine kingdom is infertility, masturbation, and you can even put miscarriages on there because that goes with the infertility. Dreams of water bodies or snakes, like if you having dreams you in rivers or oceans, sexual immorality, engaging in any type of pornography, fornication, adultery, defiling sex acts. When you notice what a narcissist do, they always want to engage in defiling type of intercourse, not just, no, it don't have to be basic. It's like way outlandish. And it's not even just like the basic, a little kinky. It's like way out there. They have to do that because these are defiling spirits that have control of their body, and they want to experience defiling you. They want to experience tormenting you. They want to experience being all sadistic. They enjoy hurting people. Like, these demons are very wicked. You got the incubus, succubus demons. Those are also in there. They are in this kingdom. So the ones that come to the woman is usually the incubus, and the ones that come to the man, usually the succubus. But it can be vice versa or both. Like, this is the demons really, they don't have any respect of any gender or anything. They're just very defiling and filthy. And you can even throw the satire in there because he go along with them too, and the old hag. But you got the sirens and the mermaids. So a lot of times, when if it was a male, like if your narcissist was a male and they were drawn, and you guys were married or whatever, and they was drawn away by a female, usually the siren spirits are the ones involved in doing that. Sometimes they can sing, sometimes they very shapely. This is a demon using that body. So it's nothing to be jealous of, because that person is in so much trouble. They don't even have any clue. But every time that they are entrapped and taken away, their life force is getting taken away. So they don't even know. But if you are a guy and a female is taken away, same thing. But that spirit is going to drain you if you still connected to that female, because they really after the life seed, and that comes from the man. So that's what they're after, because they go to that scripture where it say the seed of a woman is going to be enmity against God, the seed of the serpent. I mean, the seed of the woman, which Jesus came from, is going to be enmity against the seed of the serpent. So those are always in battle. And the seed of the woman is actually the male seed, because that's how they create a child. So they're always going for that man. You got the Leviathan, Jezebel, Queen of the Coast, Queen of the Sea. That's in the Indian Ocean. If anybody Google mysterious events happening in the Indian Ocean, boom, you're going to find it. Even the Malaysia plane, all of that stuff, you're going to find it, because that is a kingdom that requires sacrifice. So a lot goes on there, but those kingdoms dominate. Bermuda Triangle, like all of this stuff are these kingdoms. Mommy Water, all of them are part of this same kingdom. And then you have like the mind control octopus spirits. So if you've been under mind control, if you've been attacked by Jezebel, Leviathan, any of those things, attacked by any of these spirits, had any of these kind of dreams, more than likely marine kingdom have been influencing your life, and you have to find out where is the opening. And usually the opening is in the realm of the imaginations. And so areas that they globally influence to get in that imagination, number one is they use the witchcraft. So a lot of times the narcissists, they put witchcraft on you. They family members probably put witchcraft on you. Your family members probably put witchcraft on you. Friends could have put witchcraft on you. The workplace, everybody is set up to do some stuff. Like, you would notice, you probably meet a lot of strange people. That's because of the call on your life. But when all of that is protected, you don't have to go into focusing on witchcraft. You just cancel it out. They can't do anything as long as you know how to shut those doors. Technology. So much witchcraft and black magic is in this technology right now. Everything with the graphene and black goo and stuff, that's all black magic, demonic stuff materialized, demonic particles. And those are the ones that's like going in the air, people inhaling. They like venom. If you ever seen the movie Venom, that's what you're dealing with black goo. The music, they put spells on that. Anytime they put a spell on the music, like if Beyonce doing a song or whatever, and she casting a spell, if you hear it, you're going to be spellbound to whatever she's enchanting. So it's going to make you desire the narcissist or desire someone that is sent to destroy you. It's going to make you desire these self-destructive things or people. Fashions and cosmetics, certain things come from the marine kingdom. You got to see which ones they are. A lot of the wavy hair and different the ones that got the mermaids all on them and stuff, all of that marine kingdom. What they do is they have spells, they have different body fluids and things attached to that, and that keeps you bound to the marine kingdom, which would keep a narcissist coming. It'll keep that mind open up for them dreams, don't recall dreams, and then they appearing in your dreams. So we have to be very mindful of the kingdom we fight in when we have encountered the narcissist. And they involved in all the politics and all that stuff. So when you see these things happening in the church, false doctrines, okay, the false prophets, false pastors, false teachers, all of them are under the influence of the marine kingdom, because Jezebel is over the churches. That was her assignment. Queen of the Coast got a different assignment. The other one in the headquarters, they got different global assignments. Hers is the churches. And so when you see like someone operating in leadership under that spirit of Jezebel, under that whole church is influenced by that spirit. You want to get out of there. You want to go somewhere where you don't see that, because these things are very powerful entities. But if you're still being attacked, those are some of the doors, because they're going for the imaginations. If you worshiping, imaginations are highly there. So the narcissist, this is a really good kind of depiction of what happens like with the narcissist. You have this conscience, and that conscience, their moral compass is seared. And that's seared. Like this egg here is seared, it's fried. This is your brain, this is your brain on drugs. This is the steak. That's how the narcissist conscience look. It's gone. The conscious, the conscience, because science is that tree of knowledge that God said don't touch. But the con against that is the opposite of that, which is, it's in tune with the Holy Spirit. So the spirit man is brought to life by the Holy Spirit, because he told them you were spiritually dead until you were born again. And so the narcissists in them, they walk in darkness. They are spiritually dead. So if a lot of them say like, oh, well, my spirit is like this, my spirit. No, they got a whole different spirit, but it ain't a spirit. It's a demonic spirit. Their spirit, they're spiritually dead. Okay, they walking out of their soul and their flesh at all times. Their soul feels desires. Their soul feels lust. Their soul feels for money and the things of this world, and the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. That's all the soul. They're not operating out of any spirit at all, because God told us he deal with us in spirit and in truth. If they a liar to the core, a deceiver, there's no truth in them. When there's no truth in them, that spirit is not there. It's not there. They have to be born again. They have to repent, do things different, quit lying. So the spirit man is brought to life, but we are born as believers because we were born again, and our spirit man had some light. Even if we had some spots in our light, we had some light. So the enemy can see those flickers of light. And if we give heed, that means paying attention. That's why the enemy is always trying to get us to pay attention. The narcissist, like, hey, listen to me. Always trying to get our attention to them, because when we pay attention, we turn our mind to that. When our mind is to that, that's worship. Okay. So when we give heed to these deceiving, lying, seducing spirits, they're wandering, vagabond spirits right here. This is the translation of this here. The seducing spirits is translation vagabond, wandering, deceiving, seducing. It causes some of us to depart from the faith. Now that's deep, because that is the enemy's end goal. He told us, do not do that. We're going to sear our own conscience if we keep dealing with these people, because they make you go into anger and bitterness and all of that. They force you to do it because they're constantly pushing the buttons. But if we do that and we stay with them, we can start feeling like justifying our anger, justifying our unforgiveness, justifying the way we treat them. It will sear our conscience. So, and it'll cause us to lose our faith. So we have to just really, that no contact, it's just, we got to do it. We have no choice but to do no contact, because it'll take our faith. And so the narcissist, this is their conscience. It's done. It's burnt. It's fried. They're not listening to any light through that. Their brain, even on the scan, I've shown the scan many times, there is no neuron activity in those areas, because their brain is fried. It is fried. So they are permanently in Delulu. God is not going through, like he's not talking to them, because they burnt out the conscience. The little portal for God to speak through, gone. They choose to go serve the devil. So when they choose the devil, that makes them an enemy of God. An enemy of God should be an enemy to us, because trust me, they're sent to destroy us like the Terminator. So they're going to come back. They're going to hoover. They're going to do all of that. And they're going to seem so innocent and so sweet. They're going to cry. Some of them might fall out, act like they saved now under the power. All the act, because they are wired to destroy you. That's it. I mean, that I haven't seen it any different. This is kind of like the Nimrod thing, showing these wandering spirits, these controlling demons. This is what they did. This is all connected to the narcissist, all connected. They worship the spirits in the sky and all. All of those demons influence them. Like some of them had this lizard demon going on. You'll see them have the snake eyes. All of these demons is all connected. That goes with the Anana stepping on the head, all of that. So they worship the heavenly bodies. So you got the water kingdom and you got the sky kingdom. So as above, so below. It didn't mean as above with God, so below Satan do. They're not equal. It meant he got that kingdom up there in the celestials and he got the kingdom down here in the water kingdom. Both of those have now merged, but those are the ones that directly influence us, mankind, and have been directing a lot of these narcissists. So that's kind of you go into the planets like Mercury, Venus, all of that. Now Venus, I did a teaching on that, talking about Inanna, because Inanna is very serious. These are all spellbinding movies. So the celestial kingdom influenced these Hollywood stars, and so do the marine kingdom. And they make movies, but in the movies they actually do real spells. This is another way your imagination, your soul can get trapped. Because once you watch it, if they do a spell and your soul is trapped there, they put you on a mental loop. Whatever mental loop they want to put you on, if you want to constantly think about the narcissist, they're going to put you there. If you want to constantly think about success, they're going to put you there. They're going to put your imagination somewhere so that you are highly distracted so they can continue to cipher through your life. That's the enemy goal, because he don't want you to connect with God. You can't, he don't like that. But after dealing with a narcissist, when you cry out, you really cry out. This Willow, they got a chip now in science, because I said I'm going to converge. I'm going to show you how all this merged. This Willow chip, this brain chip that they launching these chips. The Willow chip is actually a quantum chip, but they're going to make it, it's so small and microscopic, it's going to be able to do a lot of things, integrating with the mind. They're trying to do this hive mind. They named it Willow. Willow is black magic. Okay, got to do with a whole tree. So they said they got a whole new tree of life, and they call it the mirror tree. But this thing here is why they're making these data sensors and AI, and they talk about the dangers of the mirror life. So if you stay in this toxic stuff or continue to deal with these toxic people and have your mind split, what the world has coming, you won't be able to resist it. You won't even see it happening. This mirror life it's like it's already taken over cells. It's the DNA reverse. So what they did, our DNA go right hand, they made it left hand. And so they genetically engineered stuff, and people are going to go ziggity boo that don't have that protection of the conscious. So if somebody constantly living out their imaginations, those are the ones that the enemy gonna put into that gang stalk. They gonna put into like whatever conspiracy they want to put them in. They gonna put into these mind loops that probably escape the narcissist. But if relationship and love and all of that is your go-to, that's what they gonna do, because this stuff is out here. This is science news. They have the technology already to regulate behavior, emotions, and hunger. So when a narcissist, and I'm gonna use them as an example because, like I said, they have abandoned their conscious, meaning they are 100% lab rats for all the studies of this nano mind control stuff. They can make the narcissist attracted to somebody else just like that at the snap of a finger, because they just insert one of their nano demons and it takes it over. And they have this ability. They've been testing it, but the one thing that blocks it, and there was a German neurophysicist that said that, his name is Harald Hautz, I think, but he has said it, and he said that the reason why they love experimenting on them is because the human spirit blocks the technology. So when you cry out to God, all of the black goo stuff or wormwood bitterness, is got many names. It can't affect you. It can't decay you. It can't cause like bones to rot. It can't cause like cancer, gallbladder issues, inflammation, all fibromyalgia, autoimmune. It can't cause that stuff because the human spirit is the only thing that can block it out. But it got to be connected to the power source, which is God's spirit. Now, with narcissists, if they get with you, because remember, they spiritually dead on the inside, it's dark. If they connect with you, they can do an exchange. The demons will cipher out your light, your spirit, and it'll give them health your life force while you just deteriorate quickly, because now all of this darkness that's inside of them will go to you. The stuff that they putting out in the air, that bitterness and everything, it's already found in the narcissist. It's found in toxic people. That's why they call them toxic, but it's found in them, in their hearts, this dark stuff, this dark substance stuff. So it's already in them, but it can exchange to you. And this is talk about more of the like science piece of it. When they were saying the stem cells, it's the imaginations they was capturing. That's why it was so ethical. Like it was like a whole ethical dilemma about it, because these babies, they still had a spirit and they were still doing things with the cells. And that imagination, you had sorcerers and witches that can take that imagination and get them to do missions and things in the spirit realm. So they can do so much stuff with somebody's imagination or soul track. That's why it's very, very dangerous, again, to stay with one of these narcissists, especially if they are a spiritualist, if they have signed a contract with the devil, if they are a warlock, if they are on any of those levels where they have astral projected, because when they know how to manipulate the spirit realm, they know how to just keep that imagination doing some stuff that you ain't never even heard of. That's what they do. Have strange dreams of going to different kingdoms, or being in the sky, or being under the ocean, or swimming with mermaids. Chances are they have did some stuff. They got you in a soul trap somewhere. You got to get your soul back. And that's not hard to do. It's a prayer to go with that. You can get your soul back. But these are just more talking about how the CRISPR got involved. And then this is where it gets so deep, because when they were doing a CRISPR and they was talking about that recombinant DNA, now they put this in some things now, even like flu and all of that. They do some things. You got to read them labels. When they do that, they use black magic. And it say here that they wanted to do this, developing this was to give Lulu and Nana. That was the names that they use for these so-called fetal cells, right? They said they had a fetal cell line or whatever, and they constantly get cells from it and clone it, and they put it in these medications and stuff. This is where it get deep. Now, this been going on way before whatever, like these couple years. It's been going on for about a decade or so, maybe longer, like decades, probably since the 80s. Now, people have been born, okay? Probably some of the narcissists from people who's been injected with this Lulu and Nana type of recombinant DNA, okay? I don't know what they are. I can't say for sure. I just know these names because I just did a teaching on Nana. Now, Nana do some stuff, okay? And Nana, and then turns out they got a whole counterpart named Lula. What are the odds? There are no odds. This is the male. This is the female. So they are using celestial DNA to recombinate, okay? Cutting it up, slicing it, putting it in people, and then they're having offsprings. So if they've been doing this for quite some time, people that grew up, is no telling what you're dealing with. Like I said, some people dealing with humans that's been born human, and they just gave themselves over to the devil. They practicing black magic, witchcraft, occult, sorcery, whatever. Some people dealing with hybrids, and they don't even know it. Or a straight shapeshifter, and they don't even know it. You better know what you're dealing with. If you getting these people you meeting as a one night stand and they just look razzle dazzled up, or the girl is doing all of this stuff and she doing whatever act you need for her to do, if she make that contact happen, she can get a life force. Things will go terribly bad. You know, all of a sudden, car accidents, bank accounts are draining out. You're sick, like extremely sick. All of these calamities are just come crashing down. Got to know what you're dealing with, because this Lula and it's a Nana. Now, the Lula was the one, you know, stepping on like the lion, the beast lion was the escort of a Nana. These are the celestials. They got those meteorites that's been hitting. And it's something called meteor mining, where they've been shaving off some of the shavings of the meteorites. And that is what they're putting in the technology. AI comes from that. Different health things comes from that. All of that stuff comes from that. But what is it really? It's an entity taking over your imaginations. And then some of them The ones that are not even really human, I don't even know what to say about that. That is like way above my spiritual grade, because that is just like God did some things with them before the flood. I mean, he's the same God. I don't know. But they are not probably ones that are seeking God. I can tell you that, because if they have Lula or Inanna, they are God haters, man haters. How do you get free from this? That is like the question. Because one thing we want to make sure is that we can get to a point where we're not thinking about this narcissist like that, because it can consume your mind. It's like, okay, got to go to work, got to do this. Like, wake up, dag, I can't believe they did that. Dag, I can't. Like, it's so many ways the enemy fire darts. Like, he'll send a family member. Hey, I seen such and such on there. Oh, they got the new person like in 2 days. All of this stuff, and you're just getting hit with so much pain, 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 pain. All of that is terrible, and the enemy knows it. And it's so hard. Like, there's no easy way, no formula to say, okay, this is how you not think about it. Because to not think about it means to dissociate. And what you have to do is put your imaginations back with your body. You can't check them out. Checking them out got, everybody kind of to this point, the narcissists, codependents, most of America, to this point where they can just like be in Delulu. But you have to check, that pain in and process that. Ask God, help me heal with this. Help me get through the day. I'm going to process this. I'm going to really understand the reality. This person had no love. They could have been on a mission. I just showed you Lulu and the Nana. All of them, they are terrible. Those are demons that put their little seed in people, and they just become human flesh. So those are your empty meat suits, and they have no heart. No heart. They thrive off of destroying humans and eating them. So this is like how to get to this point where you're able to function throughout the day. You really have to use this scripture. Like, God, I'm gonna cast down these imaginations, because you got to get your imaginations back to you. Them strongholds, you got to cast them down. And every high thing, that's translated stronghold, that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And then it's the second part that say, I'm gonna bring into captivity all my thoughts to the obedience of Christ. That is the most powerful warfare scripture that you can use when you're going through rumination after dealing with one of these. Now I'm going to cast down my imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. I bring in captivity all my thoughts to the obedience of Christ. And sometimes it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I want to be mad, because I knew once I said the prayer, dang, he gonna do it. And then it's like, I'm mad though. Like, I wanted to be mad, but he had to work on me with that. That took a while, but he had to work on me. He had to work on all of us. Like, it does take some time to kind of get there. Like, all right, God, I'm tripping. This is the old me. This is the way I'm used to dealing with things, like as far as defending myself. But God was like, no, like, you got to do everything my way, because you're dealing with a Nana, you're dealing with Lulu, you're dealing with the water kingdom. It gets so deep. It got to the point my soul, like, they was literally coming for me at night, taking me to these kingdoms. And that's a horrible experience. And so it's like, once it get to that point where not only they are physical, but they're able to like take you out of there. That's part of what they do, depending on bloodline covenants. I had bloodlines doing things, but once they're able to do that, the next stage is like possession. So you have to really make that decision, like, okay, God, I'm just gonna go all in, because I can't go that route. Like, I can't stay mad because I see that this kingdom ain't playing with me. I have to go straight with you. And that's when you casting down these thoughts, because then he can step in and he will sever all of that. Like, he put all of that to rest. But the being with the narcissist opened that door up, because that was a different kind of experience due to that, whatever contract he made with the devil, whatever portal or temple they are, however wicked they are, it depends on what level of demons come for you. So if they are a temple, it's an open temple, and you've been engaging with them or you got a covenant with them, that warfare, you might physically start experiencing things. Even my children was physically starting to experience things because it's that serious. Like they are that gateway, and they do rituals. They defile you. They humiliate you. They make you eat crazy things. Like they do all of this stuff. Each one of those are a ritual on that satanic pointed star. So they have to do that. And so when they do those things, it opens up the door and you have a witchcraft kingdom attack that you've never experienced before. That's why a lot of times when people come out of this, they're like, I don't understand. I really didn't even care about this person. Like, I don't know why my mind is still there, because they were deeper into the witchcraft and occult than probably previous partners. So Genesis 6, it talk about it as far as the imaginations, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. That's the narcissist. That's what you're dealing with, or the sociopath, or the psychopath. None of them have a conscience. So all of them are equally non-empathetic, no conscience. And they talk about in Genesis how even after God purified the earth with the flood, he said, even as a youth, there are some whose imagination of the man's heart is evil, like from the youth. So that's why you have to train up your child in the way of the Lord, like in the way they should go, so they don't depart from his teachings. But these narcissists haven't been trained like that. They've been trained for wicked, because they tell you in the scripture, like they constantly practice evil, like they've been practicing this witchcraft, this wickedness for so long until they mastered it. Master manipulators, master deceivers. It's a lot of things that's in the masters. When you get a master's degree in something, you like at a master super level. Okay, you really understand what you're saying to the point where you can teach this stuff. They can teach the art of manipulation, the art of deceiving and lying, the art of being able to swindle and take somebody's stuff, the art of being a con artist. They can teach that because they have practiced this thing continuously. So their heart is so hardened to God and it's so dark that God turned them over. He was like, because they practice evil continuously, I gave them over to a reprobate mind, meaning their mind is just debased. And he put them on a mental loop, because God can do that stuff too. Satan ain't the only one that be trapping souls. You keep playing with God like the narcissists do. He showed you right here. This was in the red letters. He has shown strength with his arms. He has scattered the proud in the imaginations of their heart. So that's what the narcissists are. When you really think about the stuff they talk about in Delulu land that they live in, they always in some type of imagination fantasy. Like you really be looking at them like, what is you even talking about? I mean, sometimes you be in love and you just be sitting there like, yep, okay, let me see what bills I gotta pay, what I gotta do, da da da, and they just be yapping. But if you really heard the words that they were saying, other than just the insults, they really are in a whole fantasy. Like they just be making reality up as they go along. And it say it here, because they are proud, because they have that spirit of pride, that Leviathan, and arrogance, the imaginations of their hearts, God scattered them. So what did he scatter? Their imaginations. So he got one imagination in this part, one imagine. They might think they, the best husband, or the best dad, or the best athlete, or the best in intimacy, or the best at, swindling, or the best con artist. They gonna think they're the best at something, but all that grandiosity is them being scattered. And it is so hard. We as professionals, as like people, humans, we cannot gather those imaginations. I don't care what they say on here, because you hear some talking on there like, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm self-diagnosed. But when you hear them talk, one, they exploit people pain. They kind of be like, oh, well, we do this and we do that. They never talk about the solution. So if you're talking to somebody that's been hurt or victimized by that stuff, they're going to start thinking about them times. Guess what? It's going to put them in that imagination loop. So the enemy just kind of pimping them a different way, because you can only have God's power to really get somebody out of this stuff, because that's feeding their imaginations. They're still a proud person. They still deal with that pride. They might be telling some of the truth of the things that they done, but what criminal don't like to boast about their actions? A lot of times they go back to the scene of the crime. That's common. So they just like, yeah, I mean, I used to do this. I used to do that. It gives them an outlet to be able to reminisce and talk about that stuff and get a audience and accolades and still be considered a good person according to their grandiosity. They still scattered in their own imaginations because they gotta repent. Like they tripping. And then they talk about how our imagination, these are like, I try to give some science articles too, because they do study the imaginations. There is equipment to study it and how it shapes our cognitive world. So every time we say cognitive, it's about our thinking, our way of processing thoughts. So when we are doing these imaginations, when they're looking at it, the imagery, things that we see, subliminal, things that we hear, every input that comes in, it shapes our imaginations. So when we are constantly ruminating and thinking about the narcissist, that's going to shape every area of our world. And it don't have to be the one that was in a relationship. I'm talking about the mom or the dad, whatever the parental narcissist was, or the grandparent narcissist, or whichever one was in childhood, the teacher narcissist. Somebody was a narcissist somewhere. That thought and that will shape how you perceive everything in life. Do you perceive people to be cheaters? Do you perceive people to be liars? Do you perceive things to be unsafe? Do you perceive things to be people getting over? It's like however you perceive and how you perceive yourself. Do you perceive yourself to be unworthy of dealing with somebody that's 100% honest and true, loyal, can pay bills and do all of this stuff and not give you all this hogmash, love to take care of their children? Do you feel worthy of that? Or do you feel like, no, I've been through a lot, I'm broken, we need to work this out because it's culture? That all depends on what imaginations and what input imagery. What did you see your parents growing up going through? Did you see your mom taking care of men? Did you see your dad leaving out on the women? It's like, what did you see? And based on that imprinting determines your imaginations. Did you watch a lot of fantasy movies? I used to love that stuff. The prince would come and rescue the whoever, the maiden, and make them a princess. That's always Disney. Like that was all fantasy. So then you grow up and you're always in these situations that family narcissists probably put you in. So when someone comes, you feel like, whew, this is a relief, because the narcissist is going to come as that character in that fantasy playout book, rescuing you, protecting you, whatever your fantasy needed. That's what they're going to come as. But it's not going to be real. This was just a myriad. That was something that was like study as far as like numbering how many thoughts we have, but that's going into something different. But it also talked about, this is more just on the imagery and during imagery and verbal thought during that rumination and distraction, like how rumination constantly like repeating what happened, repeating this and all of that, what it's doing to the body, and how to try to figure out, like if you picture the throne, how to snap out of it, because you want to be able to get through life and you want to snap out of this imaginations that you have in of this rumination of this narcissist. So you got to cast down imaginations. Talk about God. Think of how, visualize him on a cross or at the throne or the lamb, or visualize like what it is in heaven. Or God, he tell us to keep our mind on the things above and not on the things below here on this earth, but think on him. He's, told us keep our minds in Christ and meditate on him, meditate on his word. Like these are things we have to do, and we have to rebuild who we are, through the truth of his word. So it talk about the imaginations, like when you just look that up, it say how it's like a window to the soul. Like they call it like your mind eye and stuff too. And they kind of say, well, that's your consciousness, or that's this and that. They leave out imaginations, don't they? Because they want to, because that's what the enemy does. Like they never 100% honest. They kind of like a half truth honest, because they want to get people into new agey stuff where it's a huge separation. Like you don't want to go into new agey where I'm going to control my consciousness and level up to the consciousness of Christ. No, you want to get control of them of vain imaginations, because he tell you in the Bible to pull those down. He tell you pull those vain imaginations down and put them under the obedience of Christ. He didn't say like do some other stuff. He said pull them down. And so the imaginations is where the devil, he can put everything on autoplay. He can make you the most superior being in the world and communicate with all of these deities and frequencies and sounds. God ain't say do that, because that goes into a nine them. And nine them got a lot of sounds that they can do and put you in. They do all of that. That's all them. Venus and all of that. Men from Mars, women from Venus. That's all them. They in Kundalini, Python. She deal with Pythia. If you read her Wikipedia, Pythia is involved. That's that Python spirit. That's the spirit of divination. So putting the nine, all of them goes into all of that witchcraft, sorcery, divination, enchantment, everything that he told us not to do. He said, don't do that stuff. But and I would do it. And then this is soul trapping. It's actually, this is how they was kind of coaching people to hijack someone's soul. So this just justify when I was telling you, when the narcissist is like telling you their stories, or probably somebody else's stories, not even theirs, but telling you them victimization stories and everything. They are hijacking your soul. Okay. And they're trapping your soul, because that is kind of what you go back to once they do their shenanigans or they discard. It's like, well, they only doing it because they've been so hurt. And, if they was different, they really cried that one time, or they really feel that was all, this is all mind manipulation. Okay. They are soul trapping. It's part of sorcery, witchcraft, warlock stuff that they do. And if they create a scene for you, they can even soul trap you into like a desired vacation. Like, we're gonna go on a beach. Oh, it's gonna be so warm. And then we're gonna have this, we're gonna be on a cruise, and we're gonna have the drinks, and we're gonna do this stuff. And oh, won't this be nice? Or when we have our wedding, oh, we're gonna have colors. We're gonna do blue and white, and we're gonna have this. They're gonna be the fly girl. All of this is creating an imagery for you to be able to soul trap you into doing that. So when they get caught with a phone number, or when they get caught with something and they apologize, you go to the fantasy. Well, shoot, we're gonna have this nice wedding. Well, I mean, they probably didn't mean it, because they wouldn't be planning this wedding like this. All the while, they probably ain't really thinking about the wedding. They might go if it's some, cameras or whatever, or they might go for the family to do this, but they mind is, scattered in their own imaginations. They thinking about the boy or the girl down there, or the woman or the man, whoever. They thinking about whatever else they can get into, who they can get some money from, who they gonna scheme on next, how great they look to their high school people or elementary people, because they stay back in the past, and how they gonna get back at the mom that they love, hate. That's what they think about. But it's all the soul traps. But they're going to create an image for you, because everything is about image. We were created in God's image. Image is a part of the imagination. That's why they say imagery. All of that happens with you create an image. See, even if you have a vision board, right? And your vision should be based on God's vision. So nothing wrong with that. God can give you goals. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have a vision board, right, and God give you some goals, say, all right, God tell you do this or do that, and you visualize it like, all right, God, by next week or whatever, I'm gonna be able to do this. You're gonna be able to materialize that. They say manifest it, but we are created in God's image, so we are creators. So we have that ability to create, especially those whose imaginations are still linked up with God. So we can create things. Remember, the narcissists, they're spiritually dead. Very difficult for them to just create things. They can steal it, just like Satan steal it. He's a thief. So they steal thoughts, they steal ideas, they steal your thoughts and ideas. They can become different people. But when you have that different type of connection, and even if you don't know your process with God, you still might have that gift, and you can create some stuff. And so that imagery is there. You imagine it first, you visualize what that's going to look like, and then it happens. And that's even like visualizing your wholeness with God, visualizing that, all right, God, I'm healed according to your word, like manifesting your faith, like giving an increase of faith. That's you got to visualize what that's going to look like. So when you do that, he gives a man a vision. Like it tells us all the time, like we have, he does give us a vision. But even though the enemy is stored some stuff, and not Mariah Carey's vision of love, it's a little different. But he gives us a vision. And when we do that stuff, we actually able to create it and manifest it in the natural. So things that we think about, even if we say, this person might cheat or however, a lot of times that fear is going to manifest in the natural, because things happen in the spirit realm first, in the realm of our imagination with our thoughts. then it manifests in the natural. It just takes time to get there. Our faith can go for good or bad. That's why he said we can speak blessings, curses. All of that stuff happens in the spirit realm first, manifest in the natural. So when we say, no, we're going to be blessed going in, going out. Keep saying it. You're going to be blessed going in and going out. I'm going to be prosperous. I'm going to prosper even as my soul prosper. You're going to be prosperous because you're going to keep saying it, and that's going to create a thing. So we got to get our imagery, get our image down. The narcissist image is all about them. They are an image, but there is another image, the image of the beast. That's the narcissist. Because remember, and Nana is on a beast. So the image of the beast, that is what Satan produces. So the narcissist is going to mimic what Satan produces, which is an image of worldly desires. That's what your narcissist is going to have, or a person's ex-narcissist, or the family member. They going to want to deal with the worldly things. God's image is going to be an image of godly things. Images are idols. So you're going to worship God, or you're going to worship a false idol. And then it tells us kind of how our mind should be like. His delight is in the Lord, and his law he meditates day and night. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, and my strength and my redeemer. So when we meditate on him and keep our mind on him, and our mind is stayed on him, that is how we get over rumination. That's how we regain control of our soul. Because supernaturally, as it is written in Psalms 23:3, he tells us he restores our soul. Like the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me by the still waters. He restoreth my soul. That means Jesus himself, the shepherd, has to go in through all the time realms. Because remember, one of the stones was the time stones. They know how to manipulate time in the spirit realm, because the time is on it's all there. It's not linear, but it's all past, present, future in the spirit realm. Jesus, the only one that can go back there. He can heal something in the past, and you won't feel the pain in the present. That's what he does when he restores our soul. So we ask God, please come into our life in that past us when we was violated, or in that past us when we was shamed or humiliated. Can you heal that part of me? It's okay for me to have that part healed by you. And then that's starting to heal those soul fragments, those wounds. And usually you'll be crying and crying and crying and crying, but your tears are prayers. Because he tells us he collects our tears in a bottle, and then it goes in a prayer book. So what Jesus does, he collect our tears, and you just say, like, I don't want the enemy to have my tears. God, you get my tears. And he literally will help make you whole. You will be restored. You keep doing it, because you didn't get into the imagination's dissociation overnight. It happened over time. So the healing has to happen over time. So that's kind of like the presentation piece. I wanted to really get this stuff out here. God has been kind of really opening a door to so much different information, but I know that if I talk about everything at once, it can all kind of get mixed up and jarbled. So he just kind of, I am going to try to do a live at least once a week, probably twice a week, to really just get some information out about this stuff, like soul trapping, how to breaking free from that, breaking free from the marine kingdom, breaking free from all just the demonic realm, period, getting delivered, getting healed, being whole, because we don't know a lot of stuff. Like if it say my people perish for lack of knowledge, and it's hard for us to get free if we don't know what we dealing with, if we don't have the information there. Like even if you don't know, unforgiveness might be there, because you're like, I forgave. That's how I was. I forgive. I'm not dealing with that person. If they come, I don't know what I might do, but I'm not dealing with that person. But I forgave him. I'm not going after him. But he was like, you can't even do that. But it's still, as far as cut off, now I can say it gently, I'm just not gonna deal with that person. He tell us don't even, be with them or dwell with them. We do got to do the cutoff, but still, it's some things I was still having a yuck feeling, when I thought about them. So I'm like, God, until I not feel a yuck feeling, whatever it takes, rejection come out, or spirit spouse come out, or unforgiveness come out. Mainly it was rejection, because rejection kept me feeling hurt. And I'm like, why do I keep choose, like it's like I'm kind of choosing to feel hurt, because times where I could have cast down the thoughts, I didn't. I'm like, I'm mad, like I'm really upset, like this is some crazy stuff. And it wasn't just, the fact of the discard, it's like the repairing of the life, rebuilding of the life. You still have to deal with, the children, and you have to get them going, and you have to try to get a routine, and you have to do all of this stuff. And it was mainly the overwhelmness. Like I kept telling God, I'm just overwhelmed, or I'm just stressed out. And a lot of times that overwhelmness and frustration can make it seem as if it's grief. And it's not. Like you're not grieving a narcissist like you think, or anything, or that relationship or anything like you think. You just don't want to have all of this burden, that the trail that they left stuck on you, and that can make you upset. So I was like, well, God, just help me deal with that, because I know you blessed me in a lot of areas, because he did. He was more than abundant in the blessings, but it's as far as the help, just being able to have us like help getting through it. So if that's the issue, just talk to God, like, God, I just need help, or I need strength, or I need something. And it's not necessarily like I'm going to stay mad at this person because of it, but can you help me in those areas so I'm not feeling a yuck feeling when I think about the mess that they had made? Because we are, reaping what we sowed by being with somebody that was a witch or a warlock, even though we didn't know, because they was, had camouflaged like a believer. But we ignored some flags if we was 100% honest. Now they do have a harvest too. So it's not like they skipped along and they just doing wonderful and great. No, no, no. He tell us, don't be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, that he will reap. They harvest is terrible. They are constantly running from it. But God said he gonna give mercy to people that, not only do you repent, but you accept your consequences. They never take accountability. So when we dealing with someone that is not taking accountability, whether they family, whether they co-workers, whether they friends, or however, when somebody is like that, then they're only going to be destiny exchanging energy, or soul, your soul, because your soul is a frequency, which is the energy. That's how it's measured. That's that whole E equals MC stuff. That's the real thing. Your soul is the energy, because in the Bible it don't talk about energy but your soul, but it's a frequency. So they just constantly ciphering out your soul. You want to stay away from them people as much as possible. But I hope this helped as far as understanding your imaginations a little bit, understanding the role that the imaginations play in this whole little narcissistic demonic pull that was done on you. And then kind of understanding what spiritual kingdoms are involved, so you can go into warfare. Like I bind up every demonic agent sent from the marine kingdom, and I bind up every demonic agent sent from the celestials. I cancel out every hex, vex, voodoo, curse, incantation, ungodly prayers. I cancel out the roots or ginger roots or whatever they've been doing. All of that stuff, any ungodly word curses, I cancel them out in the name of Jesus. And you just kind of speak that over you and your children, so that these powers are dismantled, because you have the authority. Like they can't just come and take your body. God is not allowing that. But you have to, once you gain a knowledge and you fight back, you will see like, okay, your health is better. Your finances are better. You're not having calamities. They're not able to cause these destructions on your life. And then the more that you resist the devil by actively fighting, they will flee. You won't get as many, friends trying to, witches trying to befriend you, or you won't get as many people coming into your path, because they already know they can see the light. Like they will be in trouble messing with you, So I hope that really helps as far as like, kind of gaining that understanding. Hopefully I can do something like in a few days. I'm just gonna see how God leads, because I always just pray to him. I was trying to like put this out, but he like, no, my people need to know. Like we really need to know the way this country is going, the way this world is going. We have to understand what we're dealing with, because there's a whole gaslighting happening, okay, right in front of our eyes. And we have to really understand the times that we are in, and how to really protect ourselves. Because even with the skies, with all that stuff opening up, planets here, all of that, we got to resist them things. They are not our friends. Okay, those are not all of them. They are not our friends. They marching, lining up, whatever they saying they doing. They throwing up satellites. we have to protect our minds from these neural links and stuff. We have to pray the blood over our minds so they don't zombify us. That is their goal. It's so much scientific research on this. So we are protected as long as we understand what we're dealing with. So I hope this helped. And then till next time, see you guys later. Take care.